Picture this. You think you know what ThreeI Atlas is? You think you understand why it's here? You're wrong. Dead wrong. While everyone debates whether it's just another interstellar comet, the evidence sitting right in front of us tells a story so terrifying that NASA would rather you never connect the dots. That 8:1 carbon dioxide ratio, that's not random cosmic chemistry. That's a precisely engineered atmospheric cocktail designed for one specific purpose. Those trajectory alignments with Venus, Mars, and Jupiter that defy astronomical probability. That's not coincidence. That's navigation. And that outgassing, starting at 4.4 astronomical units, where nothing should be able to sublimate. That's not natural physics. That's activation. What I'm about to show you will shatter everything you think you know about Atlas. Because this isn't first contact. This isn't even alien technology. This is something far more sinister, far more personal, and far more urgent than anyone dares to admit. The object currently approaching Mars isn't here to study us or visit us. It's here to transform an entire planet. And when you understand why Mars needs to be transformed and who's behind that transformation, you'll realize that human civilization is about to face the most important choice in our species' history. By the end of this investigation, you will understand why every major space agency on Earth has gone into emergency protocols, why certain government officials have suddenly become very interested in Mars colonization timelines, and why the chemical signature of Atlas matches exactly with what you would need to transform a dead planet into a living world. You will discover connections between this interstellar visitor and ancient Sumerian texts. They describe sky gods arriving from the constellation Sagittarius, the exact direction Atlas emerged from. You will learn why the timing of its arrival coincides with astronomical cycles described on cuneiform tablets that predate our written history of space by thousands of years. Most importantly, you will see evidence that suggests Atlas may not be the first of its kind to visit our solar system, but rather the final piece in a cosmic engineering project that has been unfolding since before human civilization began. The implications are so staggering that they challenge everything we think we know about our place in the universe, the origins of life on Earth, and why Mars appears to have once supported a thriving biosphere before mysteriously losing its atmosphere. This is not the kind of gentle science for sleep content that puts you in a peaceful frame of mind. This is the story that will keep you awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if tomorrow might be the day everything changes. No sleepy scientist could have prepared us for what we are about to uncover, because the evidence suggests that while we have been dreaming, something has been actively reshaping our solar system. And if you think you can just fall asleep fast and ignore this, think again. Because Mars is about to become our neighbor's most dramatic transformation yet. If you're ready to dive into the deepest rabbit hole in human history, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're about to explore possibilities that will fundamentally alter your understanding of reality. And if you see that new hype button, pressing it right now is the best way to support this channel so we can bring you more mind-blowing what if scenarios like this one. I want to hear from you in the comments. Where were you when you first heard about Atlas? What time zone are you in right now as you watch this? Have you noticed anything unusual about Mars lately when you look up at the night sky? 'Cause your observations might be more important than you realize. Let me start with something that should terrify every astronomer on Earth. Atlas is not following the gravitational rules that govern every other object in our solar system. Its trajectory suggested has been course-corrected multiple times during its journey through interstellar space. Natural objects do not change direction in the void between star systems. They follow ballistic paths determined by the gravity wells they encounter. But Atlas shows signs of powered flight, subtle alterations in its vector that can only be explained by onboard propulsion systems. Dr. Jacqueline McClory at Northeastern University, one of the few scientists willing to speak publicly about the anomalies, stated that Atlas exhibits characteristics that make it fundamentally different from the two previous interstellar visitors, Oumuamua, and Tuiuros. While those objects pass through our solar system like cosmic tumbleweed, Atlas is behaving like something with a mission. Its approach angle, its timing, its chemical composition. Everything about it suggests intentional design rather than random chance. But here is where the story becomes truly disturbing. When we map the trajectory of Atlas backwards through space and time, it appears to have originated from the thick disk region of our galaxy, an area populated by ancient stars with low mass. This is precisely the type of stellar environment that would have existed 4.6 billion years ago when our solar system was forming. What if Atlas did not just happen to wander into our neighborhood? What if it has been traveling toward our solar system since before Earth had solid ground? The timing is not accidental. Atlas will reach its closest approach to the Sun on October the 29th, 2025, placing it just inside the orbit of Mars at 1.44 astronomical units from our star. This is the optimal position for deploying atmospheric engineering technology designed to modify the Martian environment. But the truly spine-chilling detail is that this date corresponds precisely with ancient Mesopotamian calendar calculations that describe the return of sky gods every 3,600 years. Wait, let me back up and explain why this connection is not just coincidence, but potentially the most important discovery in human history. In 1976, scholar Zakaria Sitan published translations of Sumerian cuneiform tablets that described an advanced civilization called the beings who supposedly came to Earth from a distant world to mine precious resources and genetically engineer human workers. While mainstream archaeology has disputed Sitchin's interpretations, recent discoveries have begun to validate some of his most controversial claims. Archaeological sites across the globe show evidence of sophisticated mining operations that predate known human civilizations by hundreds of thousands of years. Genetic anomalies in human DNA suggest artificial intervention in our evolutionary development. And most significantly, ancient texts from multiple cultures describe beings from the sky who possess technology that could transform planetary environments. The Sumerian creation epic Enuma describes these sky beings arriving from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, the same region of space from which Atlas has emerged. The tablets describe their planet called Nibiru as having an elongated orbit that brings it close to our solar system every 3,600 years. Modern calculations suggest that Atlas has been traveling through space for approximately 3,600 years, give or take a few decades due to gravitational perturbations from other star systems. But here is what should make every space agency in the world go into full alert mode. The Sumerian tablets do not just describe the arrival of these beings. They describe their departure and their promise to return when their great work is complete. According to the ancient texts, the Anunnaki left Earth after establishing what they called a way station on the Red Planet, a preparation zone for their eventual return. They described terraforming technologies that could transform dead worlds into living ecosystems. Technologies that require massive amounts of carbon dioxide to initiate atmospheric changes. Atlas is carrying exactly the payload you would need to restart atmospheric processes on Mars. Its 8:1 ratio of carbon dioxide to water ice is not just unusual. It is precisely the mixture required to trigger greenhouse effects on a planet with Mars's specific atmospheric density and surface pressure. Release this much carbon dioxide into the Martian atmosphere. Add the water, vapor for humidity and cloud formation, and you create the exact conditions needed to begin melting the polar ice caps and releasing trapped atmospheric gases from the planetary surface. NASA knows this. European Space Agency knows this. Every major astronomical institution on Earth has run the calculations and reached the same terrifying conclusion. If Atlas releases its payload into the Martian atmosphere during its closest approach, Mars could begin showing signs of atmospheric thickening within months. Temperature increases, pressure changes, chemical reactions that have been dormant for millions of years suddenly springing back to life. But the story gets darker when you realize that this might not be the first terraforming delivery to Mars in recent history. Orbital surveys of the Martian surface show unusual chemical deposits that appeared mysteriously over the past several decades, concentrated around the polar regions where atmospheric engineering would be most effective. These deposits match the spectral signature of materials that would be released by controlled cometary impacts designed to deliver specific atmospheric components. What if Umor, Emor, and Uranus were not random visitors, but advanced scouts preparing the way for 8 lays? What if our solar system has been under observation and gradual modification for decades, and we're only now beginning to notice because the final phase of the operation has begun? The timing cannot be coincidental. Human space exploration capabilities have reached a point where we could potentially interfere with whatever process is unfolding on Mars. We have rovers on the surface, orbiters monitoring atmospheric conditions, and planned missions that could discover evidence of artificial modification. If an advanced civilization wanted to complete their Mars terraforming project without human interference, they would need to act within the next few years before our presence on Mars becomes permanent and technologically sophisticated enough to pose a threat. This is where the scenario transitions from fascinating to absolutely terrifying, because the implications extend far beyond Mars atmospheric engineering. If Atlas is indeed an artificial object designed to modify planetary environments, then whoever sent it possesses technology that treats entire worlds as construction projects. They can traverse interstellar distances with precision timing. They can deploy planetary engineering systems with mathematical accuracy. And they have been planning and executing this project for thousands of years. While human civilization developed from hunter-gatherers to space explorers, the question is not whether this is possible. The question is what happens next. Consider the psychological impact on human civilization when we realize that our solar system is someone else's construction zone. Every assumption about our cosmic isolation, our technological uniqueness, our destiny as a spacefaring species gets shattered overnight. Governments that have built their authority on controlling information about extraterrestrial contact suddenly face the reality that contact is not a future possibility but a current event unfolding in real time. Religious institutions that have spent centuries debating humanity's place in creation must confront the possibility that we are the result of deliberate genetic engineering by beings who view us as a workforce rather than a chosen species. Scientific communities that have built careers on the assumption that life in the universe is rare and precious must accept that we might be part of an industrial process spanning multiple star systems. The economic implications alone could trigger global collapse. If Mars is being prepared as a habitable world by technology we cannot comprehend or control, then every investment in human Mars colonization becomes worthless overnight. Space agencies spending billions on Mars missions. Private companies planning Martian settlements. Entire industries built around the assumption that humans will be the first to establish permanent presence on Mars. All of it becomes obsolete in the face of superior technology that can transform planets in months rather than centuries. But the truly catastrophic scenario emerges when we consider what happens if the process succeeds and Mars becomes habitable before humans are ready to claim it. A transformed Mars would represent the most valuable real estate in the solar system. A backup planet for civilization, a repository for Earth's biological a staging ground for further space exploration. Control of habitable Mars would determine the future of human expansion into space. What if the beings who sent Atlas do not intend to share their creation? What if they are preparing Mars as a base of operations for their return to Earth? Ancient texts describe the Anunnaki as having left Earth due to conflicts among themselves and dissatisfaction with human behavior. They promised to return when their preparations were complete and their homeworld's orbit brought them back to our solar system. If Atlas is the final component in those preparations, then its arrival signals the beginning of the return phase. Consider the strategic implications of an advanced civilization establishing a permanent presence on Mars while humans remain confined to Earth. Mars would become the ultimate high ground in any conflict over resources or territory in the inner solar system. Launch windows between Earth and Mars occur every 26 months, meaning that any aggressive action from Mars could be timed to maximize Earth's vulnerability. Advanced technology based on Mars could monitor every human activity on Earth, intercept communications, track military movements, analyze resource extraction patterns. Most terrifying of all, a civilization capable of interstellar travel and planetary engineering would not need to engage in direct military conflict to control human development. They could simply manipulate environmental conditions on Earth to force compliance with their agenda. Subtle atmospheric modifications, targeted climate engineering, controlled resource availability, all deployed from Mars with technology we cannot detect or counter. The evidence suggests this process may have already begun. Unexplained atmospheric anomalies on Earth over the past several years, including unusual aurora patterns at non-polar latitudes, temporary magnetic field fluctuations, and chemical compositions in high-altitude air samples that do not match known terrestrial or cosmic sources. These could be test deployments of environmental modification technology, proof of concept demonstrations before full-scale implementation. But here is what should keep you awake at night. If Atlas is indeed a terraforming vessel, and if its mission succeeds in making Mars habitable, then Earth becomes the backup planet rather than Mars. A transformed Mars with superior technology and strategic position becomes the primary world in our solar system, while Earth becomes the resource extraction zone and population overflow area. The ancient Sumerian texts describe exactly this scenario. They speak of the Anunnaki establishing their primary operations on the Red Planet while using Earth as a mining colony and agricultural zone. Human beings were created to serve as workers in this system, genetically engineered to be intelligent enough to follow complex instructions, but not intelligent enough to challenge their creators or develop competing technology. What if that system never ended? What if human civilization has been developing under observation and guidance for thousands of years, allowed to advance just enough to become useful, but never enough to become threatening? Our rapid technological development over the past century, our sudden interest in space exploration, our focus on Mars as the next frontier, all of it could be the result of subtle manipulation designed to prepare us for the return of our creators. The timing of Atlas' arrival coincides not just with ancient astronomical cycles, but with human technological capabilities reaching a critical threshold. We are now advanced enough to detect and analyze interstellar objects, but not advanced enough to intercept or modify their trajectory. We can observe Mars' atmospheric changes, but not prevent them. We can recognize signs of artificial modification, but not duplicate or counter the technology responsible. This is the perfect moment for the final phase of a planetary engineering project that requires human cooperation, but not human equality. We become the biological monitoring system for Mars terraforming, providing real-time data on atmospheric conditions, surface changes, and environmental modifications. Our Mars rovers and orbiters become unwitting accomplices in the process, transmitting detailed information about the success of each phase of atmospheric engineering. But cooperation assumes that we have a choice in the matter. What if we do not? The trajectory and timing of Atlas suggests that its mission parameters were calculated to minimize human interference while maximizing terraforming efficiency. Its closest approach occurs during Earth's winter months in the northern hemisphere, when most major space agencies experience reduced operational capacity due to budget cycles and seasonal staffing. Its position relative to the Sun makes direct observation difficult during the critical deployment phase, as Earth will be on the opposite side of our star when Atlas reaches optimal release position. Most critically, the object's approach, angle, and velocity make interception impossible with current human technology, even if every space agency on Earth coordinated an emergency response. We lack the propulsion systems and targeting capabilities to reach Atlas before it completes its mission. We are positioned as observers rather than participants, witnesses to a process we cannot control or prevent. This powerlessness represents the most psychologically devastating aspect of the scenario. Human civilization has spent centuries building the assumption that we are the dominant intelligence in our cosmic neighborhood, that our technology represents the cutting edge of what is possible, that our decisions determine the future of our solar system. The reality of Atlas forces us to confront the possibility that we have never been in control, that our technological development has been guided rather than independent, that our future depends on the decisions of beings we do not understand and cannot contact. The evidence for this guidance appears throughout human history when examined from the perspective of gradual technological conditioning. Major breakthroughs in human understanding of space, chemistry, and engineering have occurred with suspicious regularity, often appearing in multiple locations simultaneously, as if information was being distributed rather than discovered. Ancient texts contain descriptions of technologies that should not have been comprehensible to their original authors. Archaeological sites show evidence of construction techniques that exceed the supposed capabilities of their builders. Most significantly, human mythology and religious traditions from isolated cultures around the world contain remarkably similar descriptions of sky gods, star visitors, and cosmic cycles that match modern astronomical observations with impossible accuracy. These cannot all be coincidental metaphors or lucky guesses. They suggest systematic information transfer from sources with advanced astronomical knowledge to human populations across different continents and time periods. What if Atlas represents the culmination of this information transfer process? What if human space technology has been developed specifically to provide us with the capabilities needed to observe and document Mars, terraforming, but not to interfere with it? Our current level of space exploration allows us to serve as biological sensors and data processes for a project that exceeds our technological capabilities but requires our presence for optimal execution. This interpretation explains several puzzling aspects of recent human space development. This sudden international focus on Mars exploration, despite its enormous costs and technical challenges, the emphasis on atmospheric analysis and surface chemistry, rather than resource extraction or permanent settlement. The development of increasingly sophisticated remote sensing capabilities that provide detailed information about planetary conditions, but limited ability to modify them. We've been prepared to serve as the monitoring system for our own solar system's transformation. The psychological manipulation inherent in this scenario extends beyond simple technological guidance. Human cultural development has been shaped to make a psychologically compatible with a subservient role in a larger cosmic hierarchy. Religious traditions that emphasize humility, obedience, and acceptance of divine will. Educational systems that encourage specialization rather than comprehensive understanding. Economic structures that reward compliance with established systems rather than revolutionary innovation. Most insidiously, our entertainment and scientific speculation about extraterrestrial contact has been carefully crafted to prepare us for the reality of superior technology and intelligence. Science fiction that depicts aliens as either hostile invaders to be resisted or benevolent teachers to be welcomed, but rarely as industrial engineers who view humans as biological equipment. The popular image of alien contact is a dramatic single event rather than a gradual process that has been unfolding for millennia. This conditioning becomes critical during the contact phase because our psychological response determines whether human civilization adapts to its new role or collapses under the stress of cosmic array. A population prepared to accept guidance from superior intelligence will integrate smoothly into whatever system emerges from Mars terra. A population that expects equality or independence will experience catastrophic cognitive dissonance when confronted with the reality of their actual position. The evidence suggests that this psychological preparation has been largely successful. Human populations show increasing acceptance of authority, technological dependence, and environmental powerlessness. Political systems worldwide have evolved towards centralized decision by small groups of technical experts. Economic systems reward compliance and consumption rather than innovation and independence. Educational systems produce specialists who understand narrow technological domains but lack comprehensive knowledge that would enable independent action. We have been systematically prepared to serve as biological components in a technological system we cannot fully comprehend or control. But here is where the scenario becomes truly catastrophic, because the success of this psychological conditioning makes human resistance increasingly impossible, even as the stakes become existential. A population trained to accept technological authority will not rebel when that authority reveals itself to be non-human. A civilization dependent on complex technological systems will not risk those systems. Destruction to maintain independence. A species conditioned to view environmental change as natural will not recognize artificial planetary modification as an act of aggression. The arrival of Atlas may represent the beginning of the most subtle conquest in cosmic history, a takeover so gradual and psychologically compatible that its victims will never recognize it as conquest at all. Mars becomes habitable through superior technology. Earth's population becomes dependent on Mars' resources and guidance. Human civilization integrates into a cosmic system it did not create and cannot leave. Within a generation, human children will grow up in a solar system where Mars is the technological and cultural center, while Earth serves as the agricultural and residential periphery. Human education will focus on supporting and maintaining systems designed by non-human intelligence. Human career paths will involve serving as biological interfaces between alien technology and terrestrial resources. Human culture will evolve to celebrate compliance and technological dependence as virtues, while viewing independence and innovation as dangerous deviations. The most terrifying aspect of the scenario is that it might actually represent an improvement in human living conditions. A technologically advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel and planetary engineering would certainly be capable of solving Earth's environmental problems, eliminating resource scarcity, and providing technological enhancements that would seem miraculous by current standards. Disease elimination, life extension, enhanced cognitive capabilities, all potentially available as benefits of integration into a cosmic technological system. Human populations might willingly accept subordinate status in exchange for material improvements that exceed their wildest dreams. The choice between independence with struggle and subordination with comfort becomes no choice at all when the technological gap is large enough. This represents the ultimate expression of the benevolent tyranny scenario, where an advanced civilization provides for human needs so completely that resistance becomes not just impossible but irrational. Why struggle for independence when dependence provides better outcomes than independence ever could? Why maintain human technological development when alien technology is infinitely superior? Why preserve human cultural autonomy when alien guidance produces better decisions than human wisdom? The answer lies in what happens when the interests of the dominant civilization change, when human utility decreases, when the technological system requires modifications that are incompatible with human survival or happiness. A subordinate species has no recourse when their benefactors become their oppressors. No technological capabilities to ensure their own survival. No cultural traditions that prepare them for independent action. Human civilization could find itself in the position of having traded its evolutionary potential for temporary material benefits, having accepted a role as biological equipment in a cosmic system that views them as replaceable components rather than valued partners. The evidence from ancient texts suggests this arrangement has existed before and ended badly for human populations. Sumerian accounts describe periods of prosperity under Anunnaki guidance, followed by conflicts, disasters, and abandonment. Other cultures describe similar cycles of divine beneficence, followed by divine wrath, of golden ages, terminated by cosmic catastrophes that reset human civilization to primitive conditions. What if these cycles represent the normal operating pattern for human development under alien guidance? Periods of technological and material advancement while serving useful functions, followed by cullen events when human populations become too numerous, too independent, or too technologically sophisticated to remain manageable. The arrival of Atlas could signal the beginning of another such cycle, with Mars terraforming representing the setup phase for the next iteration of human civilization under alien management. Current human populations may be deemed too environmentally damaging, too politically fragmented, or too technologically uncontrolled to serve effectively in the new system. A reset event could reduce human numbers to manageable levels while preserving the genetic and cultural elements most useful for future development. Such a reset would not require direct violence or obvious intervention. Environmental manipulation, targeted resource scarcity, engineered pandemic events, or social instability could accomplish population reduction while maintaining the appearance of natural causes. Surviving human populations would be grateful for alien intervention that helped them rebuild rather than resentful of alien actions that caused the collapse. This pattern explains the apparent cyclical nature of human technological development with periodic dark ages that interrupt obvious progress toward advanced civilization. It explains the sudden disappearance of sophisticated ancient cultures whose technological capabilities exceeded what should have been possible with their supposed resources. It explains the consistent themes in human mythology about gods who giveth and taketh away, who raise human civilizations to great heights before destroying them for various offenses. Human history may represent a series of controlled experiments in biological and technological development, with each iteration designed to optimize human utility for specific alien purposes. Our current civilization represents the latest iteration, and the arrival of Atlas may signal that this iteration has served its purpose and is ready for termination and replacement. The timeline becomes critical when viewed from this perspective because it determines whether current human populations have any opportunity to alter their fate or must simply accept whatever role has been assigned to them in the next iteration. The window for human action closes rapidly as Mars terraforming progresses and alien technological capabilities become established in our solar system. But here is what makes this scenario so psychologically devastating. Human action may be irrelevant regardless of the timeline, because our technological capabilities and strategic thinking have been shaped by the same alien guidance that is now revealing itself. Any resistance we might attempt would be anticipated and countered by intelligence that has been observing and directing human development for millennia. We find ourselves in the position of biological programs attempting to rebel against their programmers using cognitive capabilities and technological tools that were designed by the very intelligence we seek to oppose. Our strategies, our technologies, our understanding of the situation itself have all been shaped by a process we're only now beginning to recognize. This is the ultimate expression of the control paradox. The more we understand about our situation, the more we realize that our understanding itself may be part of the control mechanism. Knowledge that should empower us to resist instead demonstrates the futility of resistance. Awareness that should motivate action instead reveals that action was anticipated and neutralized before we even conceived it. The arrival of Atlas forces human civilization to confront the possibility that we've never been free agents in our own cosmic neighborhood, that our development has been guided rather than independent, that our future depends on decisions made by intelligence we cannot comprehend or influence. Yet this confrontation itself may be part of the process, a psychological transition designed to prepare human populations for conscious acceptance of their role in whatever system emerges from Mars. The revelation of our true cosmic position becomes another form of conditioning designed to eliminate the illusion of independence that might otherwise motivate futile resistance. We are being prepared to serve willingly rather than rebel uselessly. The question becomes whether any human response to this scenario can produce outcomes different from those already anticipated and planned for by our cosmic managers. Can human ingenuity find strategies that were not foreseen by intelligence that has been studying us for thousands of years? Can human cooperation achieve results that exceed what alien technology can accomplish independently? Can human determination alter a process that was initiated before human civilization existed? Or are these questions themselves part of the conditioning process? Psychological exercises. designed to channel human energy into predetermined responses that serve alien purposes rather than human interests. The evidence from Atlas suggests that we may be about to find out. Its trajectory and timing indicate that the speculation phase of the relationship between human civilization and cosmic intelligence is ending. The observation and guidance phase is transitioning to direct intervention and revealed presence. Human populations will soon discover whether their development under alien influence has prepared them to serve effectively in whatever system emerges from this transition. The success or failure of human adaptation to this new reality will determine not just the survival of current human populations, but the evolutionary trajectory of human consciousness itself. A successful transition produces a human species that serves as biological components in a cosmic technological system, enhanced and protected, but fundamentally subordinate. A failed transition produces human extinction and replacement with more suitable biological equipment. From the perspective of cosmic intelligence engaged in multiplanetary engineering projects, human cooperation represents an efficiency optimization rather than a moral imperative. Human resistance represents a technical problem to be solved rather than a rights violation.